And the reason why I stayed for 21 years, I don't know if I mentioned that, but I stayed there for 21 years, is because of the commitment, because of what I believed. Also, my beliefs, you know what I'm saying? Like divorce was the last thing on the mind. But then when we really sat down and talked together, it was like, man, what's the purpose? Why are we here? And when we both looked at each other, we really couldn't even answer that question. And that's when we came to our decision. Now, that was our decision, but I definitely wouldn't say that that's for everyone.
The thing you said about vows is very important. And it is to love, honor and cherish. And I would make note that men and women experience, or should I say, give out love a bit differently. Because the way of course, I love my wife and I've loved her since, the time I proposed to her up until now. But love, the way men express love is through adherence to our duty. Okay. I love you because I'm coming home every day, every single day. I pay the mortgage every month. I do, like, you see what I'm saying? That is a very hard, that type of love is actually, as you can see in modern times, very hard for a woman to acquire. A man's consistency is his love to a woman, right? So that is probably why, if you ever hear that Trigger Mike got divorced, she left me, because I have other factors that I'm bound to through my culture as to why I would never leave my woman in that way. And I feel like too many men abandon their duty because they're allowed to in this Western culture, right? So I think during the phases of a relationship, you have to find ways to keep on. That's what a man stays bound to. I'm here because I said I was going to be forever, right? A woman's going to love differently. She's going to need those softer, type of things. And you're still going to need to wine and dine her, let her know she's beautiful and do all of that. But me still being there, the totality of my presence is my love, because now I won't give way to my desires. That's me actually falling out of love. It's too easy for me to say, well, we're not really seeing eye to eye right now. There's all these other hoes out here, so let me just go be with them. You see what I'm saying? So, I feel like that's one way that men show that they're too easily discarding the love that, Inaz was talking about.
All right.
Can I just add? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, lady. Go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to add that, like, I think it's important for us to actually touch on, like Mr. Payne earlier was speaking to the kinds of love. I'm not trying to necessarily go down that route, but the fact that, like, we feel and express love differently. So for a man, like, a lot of men can be okay with a woman not being in love with him as long as she respects him, because that's the kind of love that y'all can't get enough of. Like, as long as you respect me, as long as you honor me, I'm not gonna feel like I don't have to, you're not gonna try to, emasculate me in any type of way. Obviously I'm not a man, so these are not paraphrasing, but like, so those things, I feel like those are more important to a man than, like, the affections outside of those moments that he's looking for from his woman. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out because I thought it was pretty important to state
that's a good point. That's a good point.
Go ahead, Shannon.
I was going to say something else, but I was going to give Shannon a chance to say something I hadn't heard from the ladies.
I mean, the question was really, to men. If she loves me, I mean, I don't know what men would think, but I will say from a female's point of view, a lot of what you get does come from love. Like when she makes that house a home, it's out of love. The way she cooks is out of love. How she treats you is out of love. Of course, she respects you because she should respect everybody. But I think that the above and beyond that women do, I think that comes from love. And I know love is fleeting and all that, but that's in love. you can still love somebody and he gets on your last nerve. You know what I'm saying? So it's just different levels to it. I'm not saying she has to be in love with you, like the fuzzy feeling, but that's still like, oh, I don't want anything bad to happen. I still love him. And I just think that that's important for women. I know maybe not for men, but for women that is important, because I mean, just think about it. Most households, I know Trigger Mike did a great job explaining earlier, and I agree with everything that he had to say. But most households aren't, you know, let's just be real. I know everybody on the internet, all the men on the internet pay all the bills, but that's just not the norm, you know. And so for a woman to come home, pay 50%, and she's cooking, and she's cleaning, and she's running up out of kids, it's got to be some love in there somewhere, you know, even because sometimes the duty is she's cooking food for the kids, and well, you're there too, so might as well make you a plate as well. I'm just joking. It's Monday night. But I mean, possibly, but I do think that women, it's important, love for a woman, I don't know, you know, it's important, just like Trigger Mike said, because it opens that door for it to come from somewhere else. And when a woman doesn't feel love, it's an emptiness there, and you don't want it to come from somewhere else. So that's all I have to say.
All right. Go ahead, Eric. I know you said you want to chime in.
No, all I was gonna say is this. Trigger Mike, you're right. Men do love like that, but my love was probably more on the feminine side because my mom didn't give me that. So when I went into my relationship, I was actually looking for a lot of the things that I didn't get from my mom. So the touches, the things like that of that nature, I wanted that from her. So I did what you said, you know, took care of business, brought money home, like she ain't had to work, you know, a lot of things. But then I also needed that other side too. And the reason why I realized that I needed that other side, and I think I'm speaking to a lot of men, because I think there's a lot of brothers out here that have that hard, well, we gotta stop cussing because I don't want to put no more money in the jar, but you know, those hard moms when we grew up in those neighborhoods that was like, yo, you know, you got to be this certain way or you're going to be, you know, left short. But for me, when that happened to me, it took me to a whole nother side where I really didn't get that. So when I went into a marriage, and the reason why I stayed for 21 years, I don't know if I mentioned that, but I stayed there for 21 years is because of the commitment, because of what I believed. Also, you know, my beliefs, you know what I'm saying? Like divorce was the last thing on the mind. But then when we really sat down and talked together, it was like, man, what's the purpose? Why are we here? And when we both looked at each other, we really couldn't even answer that question. And that's when we came to our decision. Now, you know, that was our decision, but I definitely wouldn't say that that's for everyone.
Yeah.
I appreciate you being so transparent. Like, shout out to you for that. My bad. I just had to say that because a lot of guys act like it's a problem to be looking for affection and nurturing, and these days men get shamed for it, but it's needed. But that's all I'm gonna say for now. Go ahead, Ina.
Thank you. No, I second that. Thank you so much for that, Eric. But I think I heard what Trigger Mike said slightly differently, and I'm going to ask him to clarify or at least correct me if I heard it wrong. He mentioned the totality of his presence, right? So it wasn't just that he was physically there. It wasn't just that he's mentally there. Like his entire being is there. And I think for women, if there's a part of you that's missing, that becomes a problem, right? So Trigger Mike, maybe you can clarify, did I hear you correctly when you were addressing the totality of your presence?
Yes, you did. Yes, me and all my manness. But it is that physical, mental, and spiritual component that I was referencing. So you're right.
You done in this? I didn't want to cut you off.
No, I was just going to say thank you. You got it.
I mean, my perspective might be a little bit different, but you know, I understand what the man was saying in the video about him just needing a woman to fulfill his basic needs, and like Lady Muggalette said about respect. Let a man do that. But I think the issue with love, and apparently it sounds like that's where the struggle is being able to love. I think it's being able to understand how to love, how to use your love in a relationship. And I think it, from my experience, I've been married for almost 10 years, and it strongly relates to appreciating what someone's doing, what someone's bringing to the relationship, and what someone's doing for you and for your children. And when you're able to appreciate those things they're adding into your life, and then you're able to return that with love, because I firmly believe that love is charity. It's something that you choose to do. God gave us the ability to love Him. You know, He didn't force us to love Him. He gave us our own will. If we decide to love Him, we can, just like we can love one another. So I think it's a lack of appreciation when we're not able to love our partners. Uh, Coming home from work every day, you know, working for a garbage company, 9 to 5, coming home like garbage, working in coal mines, just to make sure everybody's got a house over their head and everybody's eating. A woman who can't show appreciation for that, and vice versa, for a woman to go out here and carry a child and cook and clean and keep the house tidy and make sure you're good to go. And for us not to show appreciation for those things, and in exchange return love for that appreciation, it just sheds light on us not using our love uh, in a way to where it substantiates, you know, what they're doing for us, or you know, a way we can appreciate what you're doing for me. You know what I'm saying?
So can I ask a question then?
And
So
last
like,
thing,
all right, go
and
ahead.
this thing, and like Tupac said, even though his, you know, mother, you know, did all those things and stuff, he appreciate the love, you know, that she gave him. That's all I want to say.
So so would it be fair then to say that even though love is all encompassing, right? Yes, it's a verb. Yes, it's a choice. Yes, it's an emotion. Yes, it's a feeling, because feelings and emotions are two different things. The rabbit hole am I going down? Um, would it be fair then to say that without the humility, without the gratitude, love can't be present, or a love that makes you want to stay actively involved in your marriage can't be present? It's mostly like it's a question to the married men, or well, married and divorced men on the panel.
I believe you touched basically two of the basic pillars of marriage, like, you know, humility, and what was the other one?
I think it was appreciation, gratitude.
Yeah, yeah. But both of those things I think are enormous. So as I think Bruiser was talking, I was just having a thought about what Mr. Eric said. And I think a lot of men do that duty part up until their kids leave. You said, you know, you made sure your kids had the positive example until they all left the nest. And, you know, I hear that so much that I just wonder what that's going to be like for me. So here's some more honesty, you know, for you. I do worry about that, right? Because I'm definitely a candidate where I'm riding this thing all the way until my kids are going to have a positive example. So it don't matter how pissed off I get, I'm going to ride it out for them. And then when they leave the nest, you know, you have to deal with your partner and your issues at that time. And I think where it comes from me, like you said, the humility, because one of the things that we go through as men is that we're going to increase in resource and value as we get older. Right. So I think you have to be a little more. Stop shaking your head, Shan. Yes. Men financially peak in their 40s. Right. We're going to have more
Yeah, but
money.
listen,
Whatever thing we doing is going to finally start thinging when we in that age. Most
They
men.
increase financially, but that ED though. No,
Exactly.
joking.
yeah, but does
If you
anybody?
don't,
Are we
look, they
talking?
make 3 different types of Viagra. You better chill out. All right.
Listen, they do,
If it
but
gets
they
so hard,
absolutely
they will
do
end up dying
increase.
alone with them pills.
Listen,